Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Tarot for Our Times. And this is, I know that Obama gave his, not Obama, I mean Biden gave his farewell address tonight, but I will be talking about that in a future reading. Well, I guess I do have Obama on my mind because tonight we have, and boy, this only took me a nanosecond for this card to jump out. We have Michelle Obama as the Queen of Swords. In her decision to make that she is not going to attend the inauguration of Mr. T, and she's the only former first lady and wife of all the other people sitting up there that's not going to. And this may seem like a fluff piece, but I think there's some deeper stuff going on here that would appear to be. I mean, Entertainment Tonight and Access Hollywood, the usual tabloid suspects have weighed in on this, but the cable news people, I looked at it, I couldn't even watch the whole thing. The CNN, these guys that were whiter than the pearls that they were clutching were just having conniption fits over that. And this one woman commentator said, well, what about how he he bailed on Biden's inauguration? And that wasn't right. Yes, well, but we didn't hear, man. I was watching that garbage back then. We didn't even hear anything about that. It's just they showed them leaving, and you know, Melania got on the plane, and then they land in Florida, and she's wearing this schmata moo or something. That was all there was to it. But oh, the fuss they're making about Michelle Obama. And I can really understand. She's being quite honest about it. I have to tell you that the Queen of Swords is a very honest lady. She's also a lawyer, too, which is what Michelle Obama is as well. And lawyers have a way of kind of like telling it like it is. And they're kind of, because of the nature of their work, they're sort of trained to cut people down to size. I guess that's why the King and Queen of Swords, they're usually lawyers and judges. So, and this kind of goes along with the Judgment card into going to one of our cards of the year and going to its original literal meaning is that, she doesn't care if people judge her. She just does not give a flying fart if people judge her. And also that I think that maybe she could be pushing this justice in reverse along a little bit as well, in a kind of in an energy in an indirect way. And when I first posted this on Facebook earlier, I just sort of made it that, well, maybe Kamala will follow suit. And then I was thinking, wouldn't it be funny? What if Hillary, Kamala, and even Laura Bush? I could see Laura Bush saying, "We've got headaches, we can't make it. But if you've got to go and keep the tradition, fine. I'm fine with that as long as I don't have to go." So that's a very interesting theory to toy around with. But I think this goes to a deeper meaning about his racism, his misogyny. She wasn't when they handed the reins over in 2017. She was not. If you could see the photograph, she was not comfortable with that. And I think she thought that if God forbid this should happen again, I don't want any part of it. And I would imagine, though, they're the rumors, are they getting no, they're not getting divorced. It's like, I would imagine she's a smart enough woman and say, if Barack, if you've got to go, I understand it's kind of like part of the job of an ex-president, but please don't judge me for my choosing not to go. And I'm sure he didn't. I'm sure he said, well, I got to go. And you know that those people are going to be freezing their butts off it's going to be cold in DC, and it's going to be like as soon as those vows are said, boom, they're out of there. They're going to be getting in those cars and just getting the hell out of Dodge. And so it's probably just going to be a couple hours of their time. But she's not going, and I love it. And she didn't show up for Jimmy Carter's funeral either, and she was still in Hawaii. But that's kind of like water over the bridge or water over the dam. So I just want to kind of take a look at the energy because I think this says a lot to. Um, I think she's gone, and also Judgment, which is the awakening card, one of our cards of the years. It's kind of an awakening card, and I'm thinking that it was all lovely that she said, when they go low, we got high. I think she's into screw that shit now. I mean, it's it just doesn't work anymore. It really doesn't. It's kind of like we're going to be in a big fight and it's time to get tough. And I think she's perfectly capable of getting tough, but I'm thinking it's sending a larger message that we are not to become ruthless and as horrible as they are, but to get a little bit tough and to not be a hypocrite. And if you don't feel that you can attend something that goes against, and as she's saying, that she could no longer stand to see someone take an oath of the highest office in the world, probably, and be completely opposite in the principles of her husband and others that have gone before him. So I first want to pick the general energy, but I want to kind of get into what, when the very quick draws, kind of like what the other ladies are going to be thinking, because, and this is going to get under his skin too, because people are going to really notice that she isn't there. And if there's anything that drives that egomaniacal, narcissistic, not someone who would get more attention than he does, especially by their absence. So going to see about the general energy and kind of taking a deeper dive into this. So let's see what Mr. Cards have to say. Okay, the Nine of Wands in reverse. Interesting. And then the energy around that is the Cups in reverse. Okay. I think what she's saying, when I was First Lady, I fought all the battles. Now I'm done. I'm done with all of this. And I'm just going to pretty much do what I want to do. And if it means I'm not there, if they can make the biggest fuss about it, I don't care. It doesn't affect me anymore. And the energy crossing this is that she's saying, I raised a couple of children and I do not need to be in the same space with an immature baby putting his grubby little paws on the Bible of all things, and kind of done with that. It doesn't even want to be in the energy of this very immature person who's got tons and tons of emotional issues, which we covered. And me and I have, and many others have. So, okay, so we have that. Oh boy. And the energy underlying all of this is that this is really interesting. I see this as the Ten of Pentacles in reverse. That's the crime family. That's the crooked family. I really think this goes deeper in the fact that she grew up in the projects and her father killed himself, to make sure she got an education. And I'm sure she did jobs and she studied at the same time. So I think there's some deep underlying resentment that some rich, spoiled baby is, taking the highest job in the land. And it kind of goes beyond her principles. It's one thing if somebody's wealthy and then they decide they're going to work and earn what they get, but she looks at him as it all got handed to him. So we got that going, and then we've got the this is funny, the fool in reverse. It's about doing foolish things, making stupid decisions. I think she's saying I want to be out of that scene because she's saying I'm not too sure what I'm going to say or do if somebody puts a microphone up in my face. I can't trust myself to not get really nasty and probably regret things that I said later on. So she's an earth sign, she's a Capricorn, and we have a tendency to sort of tell it like it is and then maybe regret it later. So she said, I don't even want to be in a situation where I'm going to have to worry about making a fool out of myself, or even worse, seeing this guy there. He's making a fool out of himself. And then we have the world. I'm done. I'm done with all these ceremonies. I I I I I did my 8 years with that and I enjoyed it, but I'm just done with it. We're no longer in the White House. We have new life. That part of our life is over. And she said, if he feels that he needs to do it, I understand, but I don't. Wow, that is really the great part about her. That also tells us that, you know what? We're told, and as women fall really prey to this, we're told, well, you got to do it. It's just done. And she's saying, no, it isn't. And I will have to say that will go against the pearl clutchers. I think she's setting a great example for her daughters, saying, you don't have to do a damn thing that you don't want to do. That, period, exclamation point. You don't want to be rude about it or anything, but you just said it's about we have that two-letter word that's so hard for us, which is no. Okay, so I'm going to put a couple like in the past. Let's see, the past inauguration was kind of like, oh, the emperor. I'm going to say the empress with this. I'm not going to take it as the well adjusted mother figure. I'm going to say that the whole thing looming over that was he can go Russia, 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 but it actually was Russia with their influence that they influenced that 2016 election. And that was pretty much of a reminder to her that maybe this wasn't quite kosher. Of course, you couldn't actually say that, but I'm going to say that was the feeling, is that it just there was a big cloud of borscht over the whole thing. So then we have the Six of Pentacles, and that's that whole you wash your hand and I'll wash mine, and like remembering his really unsavory business practices. It was like all up there in the face of, well, he's taking the solemn oath. All of that is right there. And I think that it was written all over her face, like, when is this going to be over? So I'm going to say that this is interesting. I'm going to see what Michelle thinks of herself and what other people think of her, like, but she doesn't care anyway. So okay, very interesting. Both wands. The King of Wands is that she's taking an assertive stand, and that maybe it's a leading for her daughters and her, and other women. And it is a male energy. It's kind of like, I'm not going. That's all there is to it. But she says some of these, and I'm going to these cable news jerk off guys. The Page of Wands in reverse is maybe they see her as being a, petulant little child, temper tantrum. Guess what? She doesn't care, which is wonderful. I'm even feeling liberated talking about this. So then we've got the the inspiring leader, which is what she is, and maybe she's just acknowledging that. And also, well, maybe there's just seeing her as a child throwing a tantrum. But guess what? She doesn't care. I mean, she really doesn't. So, I'm going to do a hopes and fear card. Okay. And we've got the good old Seven of Cups and a whole lot of stuff going around. I was saying that it's kind of like the hopes of not being in that illusion and that fantasy and that sort of travesty of what's going to be taking place again if he is inaugurated. But I would also say the fear that of seeing people. I guess it's just the fear that, people that ordinarily wouldn't like him would get all caught up in the day and go into little fantasy land like, oh, well, maybe he isn't that bad after all. I mean, this really is, she is not having any of that at all. So, a couple of cards for the present. We have the Ace of Cups in reverse. And when this is upright, this is all about like the purest kind of joy and the kind of joy that comes from love. And she's saying, why would I go? I'm not feeling the love. There is no love here. So there's just no love. And I did I think I earlier heard that it was an emotional thing when she and Barack left the White House. They said goodbye to the staff that helped, take care of the kids and everything. They had really developed a bond over the 8 years. And then this douchebag is going to be getting inaugurated. And she graciously has the tea for the new first lady and being gracious and being kind of phony. And apparently she's saying that when that whole thing was over and they got in the car to go to the plane, she said she cried for a half an hour. So this is something like it was I'm sure it was very cathartic, but why would she put herself through that again? So that's something she doesn't want to do. She sees no with the Two of Wands in this in reverse. It's like there's nothing that's going to make my future any better than by going to this. So I'm going to see like a little outcome card for this, and we have the Knight of Wands in reverse. And I would say that by by her going, she would saying she was being very unfaithful to herself, and that this is kind of an ill-tempered guy, and I think she just did not want to be around an event like that and at the risk of losing her temper. I really think she's saying, I think I'd lose it there and tell a few people off. So it's kind of like it's for their good as well as it is for my good, because that's she's feeling like I cannot, he's the unfaithful knight. I cannot give allegiance to this travesty that's going to take over, and I may really express it. So I would say that kind of going beyond that, we have the Eight of Swords. And I'm saying it's getting away from that whole martyr thing. That this is being a prisoner to your own thoughts, being put in a situation where you have to put the blindfold on and not see that for what it is and sort of feel like a martyr by being there. So she's saying, I'm not doing that. I think what this is telling me, she's very aware. She really knows who she is. And, that's pretty much, and so she's taking care of herself. That's what people are missing the point. Who cares about him anyway? I mean, I don't see why people are getting upset. I mean, as I do this reading, I have even more admiration and I really do admire her. I even have more admiration for her now than I did in the past. Okay, so but I'm really thinking like I don't know that it's going to inspire the others. I think that if they decide to, any of them decide to bail, it was like, oh, I think I have COVID, or I think it would be something like that to get out of it. But I just want to, I want to kind of with that, just pull a couple cards and see what each of these, the three that I mentioned, Hillary, Kamala, and Laura Bush would be thinking, because I suspect that she's no big fan of those idiots. Anyway, so okay, so we're gonna, and I was actually thinking that it's kind of a shame that the only person that could beat him is a man. I'm not too sure that his latest opponent didn't beat him, but as I say before, it's like one thing to have the feelings and intuition, like it smells like, you know, he hasn't had a Depends change in 8 hours. It kind of has that smell. But then again, it's trying to prove it. So let's see. First, I'm going to do Hillary. Hillary needs to go. She had to suffer first for this. So, okay, I'm going to cut the cards. And just do a quickie spread. Okay, Hillary. We have the King of Pentacles in reverse. That's my card for Trump. That's this. I'm going to say that she also sees him for what he is, and seeing that get inaugurated again, I'm going to say that really takes, it's got to be I mean, being at the funeral with him, I knew from the expression on her face that was taking her back on a very unpleasant trip down memory lane. So I imagine this will be even more so since it's inauguration. Let's see, energetically, we have, I think that she may decide just not to worry about it and get through it. Why lose sleep over this? Very interesting, because this is in reverse. So let's see. So for the past, we have the devil being chained to the devil, and let's see, just a few. Oh, the sun. The sun. Okay, so what this tells me is that I think she's a bit, maybe more of a witness of seeing these people kind of change, because that's what this whole thing is with these, the Lindsey Grahams and all these other people that absolutely detest him but refuse to confront him in public, and that it's like this whole codependent, people pleasing kind of a card. And so I think she can't stand to see that, but I'm going to say that the sun tells me that she's a bright woman. She sees it for what it is, and that maybe it's a matter of pride to show up. But I'm going to say that she's going to say, as soon as that hand is off the Bible, she says, Bill, we're leaving now, right now. And so that's kind of what I'm seeing for Hillary. I mean, when I saw her at that funeral, I said, I thought she hated him, but her face, I didn't realize she hates him that much. It was almost like, whoa, that's the queen of hating. That's really amazing. So, okay, so the latest, of course, is Kamala. I sort of had this fantasy that maybe she decides to stay in California and help out the fire victims, but I'm not saying that's out of the realm of possibility, but who could fault her for that if she cares about how she's judged? I think she should take a page from Michelle Obama's Okay, so then we have, I should probably do a quickie on Jill because Melania, I looked at, I had to look it up because someone said it on social media that Melania refused her invitation to tea, which is like every first lady since Martha Washington has done that. So I should think Joe Biden would say to hell with them too. Okay, so we have Kamala. Let's cut the deck because I feel like that's what I'm being told to do. So again, I cannot believe this, and I cut the deck too. So she's kind of in the same wavelength as Hillary, just like it's just like awful for her to have to stand there in the freezing cold and watch this guy that's probably stole the election away from her, and it's just like well, like I would say he is like, we'll put this in a little different light. She convicted a lot of him back, and she prosecuted a lot of him, and when she was a judge, she passed sentence on a lot of these douchebags. So that's going to be really hard. So the energy around this is, oh, the high priestess. This is interesting because there's been something going on behind the scenes that there's been decisions to make, and maybe she wasn't too happy with it, with Biden's whatever he's decided, and she's a little bit more daring, and this sort of thing. So she, this is telling me, the high priestess is telling me she knows a lot of the dirty secrets that have been dug up around him, but apparently, I guess they feel that maybe there's not enough. Maybe it's someone thinks that it's going to be sprung at the last minute, so they don't have time to. He doesn't have time to react. So who knows? But right now, where she's at is she says, "I have all this dirt on him, and there I sit." Okay. And the fact that not only is she a woman, but she's also a woman of color. So then there's the racism thing. And I think I'm getting a sense that she may really, really, really be admiring Michelle because they sort of have that bond that she's saying, "Yep, she okay." Here, this is interesting because we have the King of Pentacles upright. So I'm going to say this is her husband, the opposite of her opponent in the election. What this tells me is that maybe she's saying, I'm kind of stuck with this, but I have to focus on the husband that I have got that is the total opposite from who I ran against. And maybe I just need to be kind of grateful for what I've got. So then we have coming up the Page of Pentacles. Okay. I'm going to say that I get a sense that she's had some new opportunities presented to her that would be not only prosperous and abundant, but also maybe because this is also about health. But she said, but maybe kind of best for her mental health. So I'm going to say that she's got these two things, even though she has the secrets. She figures I'll be grateful for this, and we'll get out of there really, really fast. Go back to warm California with the plane will be on the runway and everything. So that is, I think she said that's the only way I'm going to get through this day is to see what I have coming up for me, which I think is exciting. And maybe the high priestess is keeping this under wraps too. But I'm going to say that, and maybe it's satisfying that she knows secrets because I mean, I think I'm getting the impression that what they have on him, so let him get inaugurated. It's just I'm just seeing him, as I've said in previous readings. I'm sort of seeing him getting defanged and his power diminished because of the court things, but also because he's not one of those healthy 78-year-old guys. He's His health is bad. His cognitive stuff is very bizarre to say the least. So there is a weakening of the whole thing. But so okay, so we got her. Then we have Laura Bush. Laura Bush, boy, she went through something with that whole 9/11 thing. I would say that actually, when I remember that, I think of her as being, because I remember Clinton being the comforter after the bombing in Oklahoma City. I'm seeing that she kind of took on that energy, like sort of being everybody, regardless of your politics, kind of being everybody's mother going through that difficult time. So I know that there's no love lost with her and the T family. So let's see where she is, and then I won't forget about poor Jill. Okay, again, and I shuffled these. I shoved this in the middle of the deck. This is really crazy. The King of Pentacles in reverse again, and I did shuffle. I shoved it in the middle of the deck. I shuffled it up, and there we go. We got the King of Pentacles in reverse, and that is her saying, I've been in this politics, married to this politics game, and seeing what goes on behind. And I know a crooked one when I see it, and this guy has like no ethics whatsoever. So we have her. Oh, and interesting. The Nine of Cups in reverse is the energy behind it, in which she's saying, the sky is making me feel uncomfortable. Because, I mean, she's in a nice, comfortable, retired life and that sort of thing. I'm feeling kind of uncomfortable around, I'm being taken out of my comfort zone. Maybe that's something that I need to happen, although wasn't that crazy about the public life that much, that maybe I need to start doing some things with my life that takes me out of my comfort zone a little bit. But today's a realization, but I don't really want to be here. That's the whole thing. Restless. I don't feel comfortable. I don't want to be here. So, so we've got her in the past. Yeah, I would say this is a funny card. The Ten of Cups is about, okay, actually they're, married with the two kids and all this sort of thing. But, life isn't always, rainbows are beautiful, but they dissipate until they come after the next rain. So I'm going to say that, again, I feel some maybe gratitude from her, because she's mainly, well, she was a teacher and a librarian, but she's got settled into being a wife when she got married. But it's a kind of like saying, I know that that life isn't filled with rainbows, but hey, it's a hell of a better one than we've got with that, and that like with that, those two sour pusses over there, and I'm sure she's going to pick up the energy of like, that's not exactly a happy marriage with this first couple coming back. So it's kind of like maybe with her again, it's a feeling of gratitude for what she's got in her life. And then the Four of Cups, that's kind of looking at that too, because I mean, all of this stuff with being scrutinized, and people were not too crazy about her husband with the Gulf War, and probably secretly she wasn't either. I know she wasn't on board with his feelings on abortion, and she grew up in a liberal family, all this sort of thing. But she's looking at, but do have something really, whatever they have between them, at least it isn't that dysfunction with the guy, being unfaithful and this sort of thing. So again, it's some, some gratitude and saying, went through all of that. I'm really glad that went through the thing with the daughters and they're all kind of settled. And again, it'll be one of those, yeah, but I can hardly wait to get out of here. The guy, I feel like she's saying, just being within 10 feet of him, I need to take a shower afterwards. So I think that's where Laura Bush is at. It's a kind of enough to make you want. It's kind of telling me that they're going to go, but that they're really going to respect Michelle Obama and kind of admire what she did, that sort of thing. And maybe they're thinking, well, I guess if I wanted to bail out, I could, but maybe I don't want. I don't know. It'll be interesting. It'll just be. I'm not going to watch it, but if someone doesn't show up, I'll sure hear about it. Maybe they just. I think what's going on with these others is that they really want the opportunity again to snub him. So that works too. That's what I'm feeling with all three of them, basically. Oh, we'll be there because it's a ceremony and we're supposed to, but oh, if we have to, we get to snub him again. So, okay, so Jill, we're going to do the outgoing first lady because I'm telling you that I think that must have really kind of hurt her that Melania would be so rude to turn down the invitation that's been a tradition for so many years. And Jill seems like a very nice lady to me. Melania, she's just sort of like this superficial, narcissistic bubblehead, and I think that it took a lot for Joe Biden to extend. I'm going to shuffle these up. If that King of Pentacles reverse comes up again, I don't know what. Okay, so maybe I'll cut the deck a bit. I mean, I've shuffled. So let's see. Jill Biden. Okay. Okay, for once, this is not Russia. This is the really happy life that she's had. I mean, it shows abundance. She's kind of got it all. She's a mother. It's she's done the mother thing. She's a teacher. She was first lady. I think she's saying, I've got it all. Why would I want to be doing this again for another 4 years? And she kept working. I will have to say that my intuition or my psychic antenna is saying there was a part of her that when he said, I'm not going to run again, I'm going to hand it over to my vice president, I think she was very relieved. She may not have expressed it openly, but she was relieved. So she's saying, I'm the woman that's, I've been very fortunate. And it's not necessarily material things, but she's a mother and she's had students. And I think she loves children and young people. And she's been very happy in her marriage. And it was wonderful to be first lady. But now it's time for me to move on. Hallelujah. Okay, so again. So she's saying, so it's time to go back to the family with the Ten of Cups. But this is also saying, I know there's going to be a period, even though I'm kind of glad to be out of here. She said, there's going to be a period of adjustment and maybe a little bit of a letdown. And so she's a smart enough woman to anticipate that and to know how to deal with that with her husband. So then we've got here the King of Wands. I'm telling you, see as I said in other readings, Trump is basically the King of Pentacles in reverse, but these other kings in reverse show that really negative aspects of his personality, and this is his nasty King of Wands in reverse. This is his nasty temper-ridden personality, plus court cards with rods in reverse are infidelity. Do a reading for a woman who is wondering about her husband cheating or what broke up your marriage, and this card comes up. I trust you. She will say, yep, you got that one right. I think it really bothered her to see him be doing that, even to someone as idiotic as Melania. I think that really goes against everything. So she knows she's going to be sitting there watching a serial philanderer type of person. But let's see, we have for a little bit of an outcome. Again, oh, interesting. I think she's got new opportunities. I think people want, I think she's been offered like to given some money to write a book about it because she's the first lady to work to be a teacher and to be first lady, and it's going to be like, well, how did you do that? And so she's seeing new opportunities once getting over this, and I'm going to say she's another one that she's going to say, like, as soon as this is over, I don't see, I'll tell you, I do not see any of them going to lunch or anything like that. I also have to say, I find it incredibly interesting that the someone's talking about the coronation lunch is going to be at the Watergate Hotel. So, preview of coming attractions for my readings is that, and this is going to be an ongoing thing, is that I've kept making, because I'm old enough to remember Watergate, and there's so many parallels, even though this one is so much worse. There's so many parallels, like everybody knew all about it, yet he went in for a second term. It didn't last, and I'm not the only psychic that is projecting this term is not going to go to 4 years. I don't know how it's going to end, but it's not going to. And there's going to be a lot of dirt coming out when, when, if, whatever he is inaugurated. And I'm going to say, I'm feeling as though Michelle Obama, getting back to her, is a bright enough woman to see the parallels. So there's a lot going on, but I have to say, I really, really admire her tremendously for doing what she's doing, and let the pearl clutchers clutch. It's like, I think the world would be a better place if people really followed their heart and did that. So I have to give a big shout out to the former First Lady, and I say, you go, girl. So that's it for me. So I'll see you soon. Bye.